My Dreaming Soap. Welcome to my channel. Now today's soap is going to be fairly quick and a fairly, well, I hope simple soap. So what I've got some soap that I shredded up. Now I got this from a soap that I did to test a technique. I was doing a practice, so therefore I did sort of a third of a loaf testing the technique, and to be honest the soaps came out okay, but it was just really just to learn some things from, and I was always intending on sort of shredding the soap up and using it in something else. So here's that shred, and you can see all I've done is I've just put it through a grater on a fairly chunky grate, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this shred in a drop swirl. I think often when we do a shred soap, we do a typical confetti soap where we literally mix the confetti in with the batter and then just pour it in a mould. And you may have seen in the past I've done a one pot wonder with shred, so I'm going to try some other techniques, like for example a drop swirl using shred, just to see if we can expand what we can do when we use these shredded soaps, so it's not always the obligatory confetti style soap. Now this shred I'm using is obviously got the same fragrance as I'm going to use in the rest of my soap. This is sweet orange chili pepper that I've got in here. And the colours I'm going to be using, for my main sort of base of my drop swirl, I'm going to be using Golden Shimmer, and that's from Mica Mama. And then I've done quite a deep orangey colour. Now this orangey colour I've mixed. I had to mix it myself because I don't have an orange in this assessment. For those of you aware, we have to get all our recipes assessed, and therefore we're only allowed to use the colours that we've paid for in our assessment. But I do have a red, terracotta red, and I do have a yellow, sunshine yellow. So I've mixed those together to give this really deep sort of rusty, what I'm hoping sort of like a autumnal sort of spicy type orange colour. So I'm quite happy with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these oils and my weighed out lye solution. This has got sodium lactate in it as well. Okay, this is everything for my whole batch. Now I'm going to want to split this out 1/3, 2/3. So I'm just going to weigh this all now. Okay, I like to weigh it before I get blending and everything, because once you've got your lye and oils together, then obviously you're going to start that reaction going, and if you can therefore weigh early before you started blending everything together, it's going to give you a little bit more working time. So I want to try and keep this nice and fluid because I'm adding quite a bit of shred, so I don't want it to get really thick, because as I said, I'm going to try and do a drop swirl with this. Okay, so I'm just going to mix it really lightly at first because I want to blend this shred in, because I want this shred to be small, and I've also got to mix my colours in. Okay, so I want 2/3 of it to go in here and 1/3 of it to go in here. I'm just going to add my colours in straight away. This to go into my drizzle. So then I'm just going to split my soap between the two. Now I only gave this a very quick mix, so I'm going to stir it, make sure I stir it between each pour because it's probably not even emulsified yet. So I'm just going to split these off on my scales, and then I'll come back and we'll get these mixed together. Okay, let's give these a mix in. Now the shred will make it a little bit bubbly, so by giving it a nice stir, that will help release some of those bubbles. So really lumpy bumpy at the moment. I want the shred thinner than that, and also my soap is not yet fully emulsified, so I am going to blend these. Okay, so that's everything blended. Let's add my fragrance. The fragrance is sweet orange chili pepper, just as I put in those shreds. I never ever mix different fragrances in shreds. In the UK, we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to just bung all sorts of stuff together. It just goes against all our regulations, and you just wouldn't be able to label it and do all the allergens and all that sort of stuff. Okay. So that's loosened that up nicely. Right, so I'll do a quick soap. Let's get this poured. So I'm going to put a good base of this orange in first. And then we're going to drop swirl the rest in. It's a bit ploppy, isn't it? Right, let's give this a nice bang down. And then I am going to swirl the top. Okay, let's get this top swirled. I quite like the top as it is actually, but I am going to give it a little bit of a swirl. I'll just tap it down to get those lines out. Don't like that. I preferred it more swirly. There we go. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. It'll be interesting to see how that drop swirl has come out in the middle, because it was quite ploppy, wasn't it, as it went in. So I'm going to cover that and leave that overnight, and we'll see what that looks like tomorrow. Here we are with our, remember that drop swirl we did with the confetti shred in it? Let's have a look to see how that's come out. Looking at the ends, I think the black's going to be quite overpowering, but that might just be the ends. So let's have a look at what we've got in the middle. Yeah, okay. It's not really a drop swirl, is it? It's sort of more like splodges and lots of broken confetti through it. So not the best soap. I mean, it still smells nice and it's still a good bar of soap. So you can sort of basically see the drop swirl through it. I think it would have been better if the shred wasn't such an overpowering colour. I think the white's quite good, but the black, to me, is just a little bit overpowering as it goes through. You can sort of see the pattern going through it, but not very much. Oh, look, there's a big old bit of black in there. Okay, so I think it's a technique that can work, but I'd obviously be careful, I think, especially if you're going to do like I did, as I had shred in all of it. What I ideally wanted to do originally was just have shred in the drop swirl bit and not in the other bit, but I had too much shred to use up. But I think if I had a little less shred, then I would probably do that to emphasise the drop swirl a bit more. But hey, we try these things, don't we? It's not a bad bar of soap. I've seen worse. And as I said, it smells nice and it will feel lovely, so that's okay.
And here's a final photo of the soap. It's probably not the greatest soap I've ever made, but actually I don't mind it at all, and it's a nice way to use up some excess soap scraps that we've got. And I'm certainly going to continue seeing what we can do with shred and when we have some spare soap, just to try and move on a little bit from just plopping everything straight in a basic confetti soap. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and you like the soap. If you have, it would be great if you gave me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see what I'm making in the future, why not subscribe to my channel? Thanks for watching, everyone. Happy soaping!